Welcome to Sound Unlimited for all things newsy, juicy, sporty, tasty, and more.
President Trump knows very well that there's no genocide in South Africa. He and Elon Musk are pushing this blatantly false narrative to make South Africa look terrible in the eyes of the world. And I strongly believe that the so-called 49 refugees was a plan of Musk. It was staged. Otherwise, how does one explain their sudden departure? With all their lives' belongings in those few bags? And who are they? Surely they had friends and neighbors and even colleagues. Why did they alert the media about their departure? There are so many questions. And when they return to South Africa, we won't even notice because they will do so individually, not in a group like when they left. Now, let's break down the Oval Office meeting between President Ramaphosa and President Trump.
And I brought you a really fantastic golf book. Weighs 14 kilograms. And it showcases the golf courses in our country. Johan Rupert wrote preface, so did Annie else. And I want to showcase our golf courses. You might remember when I spoke to you and we spoke about golf, you said I should start practicing. And I've started practicing, President. So I'm ready. Let me end just the introductory remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period. And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment. And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators, and you kept to your word, and you delivered respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. Being the small economy that we are, we needed help from around the world. And you were there to provide that. So thank you very much.
I remember the call.
Yeah.
We sent 150 respirators. We became the respirator king. We started making them. Nobody had them. We had very few of them.
That's right.
But they were very helpful. But we sent 150, and I appreciaed the letter you wrote me. A letter.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much for that. It really touched my heart after I spoke to you and you delivered. So,
great honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
President Ramaphosa tried by all means to appease President Trump. He made sure that he highlighted the positive things that Trump has done, and even giving him a gift in the form of a golf book.
A lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up, yeah.
President Trump insisted that the meeting was about the so-called genocide in the main, while President Ramaphosa, on the other hand, tried not to regard the genocide issue as more important than the trade relations between the two countries.
We're taking him, we were lucky because we had the great Nelson Mandela who taught us how to create peace, to make peace. So we were imparting some of those lessons to him, some of those learnings. And I specifically mentioned to him that this is how Nelson Mandela taught us that when you want to have a peace in a country, do it on an unconditional basis and sit down and talk. And that's precisely what I'm sure he's going to heed.
Well, we're going to see what happens with that when there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of death, it's a bloodbath. something
It
like
is,
that.
it is,
I get the
unfortunately.
I get the satellite pictures of that field, of that killing field. You never saw anything like it in your life. So it's a horrible thing that it goes on, but I think we've made big progress.
President Ramaphosa invoked the name of Nelson Mandela. Now, I think this strategy of South Africans name-dropping Mandela at every chance they get while overseas is tired. It worked in the past, but not now. So let's just let the great Mandela rest in peace.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it will take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But Mr. President, I must say that we have wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. And we have documentaries, we have news stories. And is Natalie here? Somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things. And it has to be responded to. Sure,
President Ramaphosa brought with him golfers Annie Els, Retief Hussein, and billionaire businessman Johan Rupert at the request of President Trump to try to convince Trump that there was no genocide in South Africa. But Trump was not buying it.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You gotta get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead.
President Trump was in charge of the whole meeting in the Oval Office. He even rebuked an NBC reporter. We all know that he prefers Fox News because of its bias towards him.
Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Just look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a report from President Ramaphosa? Reaction to this video?
He showed President Ramaphosa a pile of articles on the white farmer killings in South Africa, some of which were not about South Africa. The photo purported to show burial sites of white farmers was in fact taken in the DRC. It depicted Red Cross workers handling body bags following a mass prison break in Goma, where numerous women were reportedly raped and burned alive.
When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land, and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it, but this is a tremendous look. This is a story recent. These are all people that recently got killed, and I don't know how it can get any worse. These are and you know, the man that you saw, the men that you saw, the people that you saw, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march, they had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
and
take
then when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
Nothing happens to
There
them.
is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The
been
farmers are black.
utilized.
The farmers are not black.
We
I don't
now-
say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it. And I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it.
President Trump, to reinforce his theory of genocide, told Ramaphosa that his friends in South Africa tell him about bad things that happen. The ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, revealed the name of one of those friends of President Trump.
Well, I know that Gary Player doesn't talk good about us to President Trump. I know that for a fact. I'm not saying it's the president who's saying that, it's Fikile Mbalula who's saying so. And I'm getting it on good vibes, that Gary Player doesn't talk good about us. Any else and everyone else, they love this country. Like everyone else, they are concerned about crime, but at least they had the guts to come along.
Trump wants EFF leader Julius Malema arrested, but President Ramaphosa did not want to respond to this because of the backlash he was going to suffer in South Africa, especially from the EFF.
We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
Now the whole world knows how bad the crime is in South Africa. So bad that even the government can't even manage it, hence begging the US for assistance in this regard. I think Rupert and Hussein didn't think about how what they said would impact tourism in South Africa.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only one farmer, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, the US basics are ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York would be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. And he's right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Graaff-Reinet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Bartz many years ago, the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their #1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the
But
floor.
the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33 or these guys. We've got equivalents there, but we need your help, sir. And we need a lot of technology.
The other elephant in the room was, of course, Starlink. Rupert mentioned Starlink, saying South Africa needs it. And President Ramaphosa says Starlink was not discussed in his meeting with Trump. Just listen to this and make up your mind.
The Starlink issue, was it part of our discussions? No. What we were able, and this is part of the offer or the package that we're talking about, is creating an environment for investment to take place. What do we want? We want US companies to come and invest in South Africa. That is a real deal for us. We want foreign direct investment. And to do that, we've got to create a conducive environment for FDI, for foreign direct investment. And where, for instance, in the past, we've been able to do so and attract US companies and utilize regulatory frameworks such as instead of BEE compliance, you could have equity equivalence. And US companies have embraced that. That shows that they are willing to go along with our regulatory framework.
The question of land, the land of our forefathers and our foremothers must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And it must happen now.